Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products and help support my channel. There's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that. There's my email address if you have any questions. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. Today we're going to be playing with Thankful Garden, and it's part of a suite that is called Lovely Garden. And the suite consists of this beautiful stamp set. There is dies. There's a couple standalones. I've already taken out the dies we're going to be using today. This one has beautiful masks. There's 5 of them. We'll be going through those because we're using them. And then it has some really gorgeous paper. And I'm just going to fling through here rather quickly. I think you can see it pretty clearly. It's just some gorgeous, gorgeous paper. Lots of bright colors. There's black, blueberry bushel, crushed curry, garden green, fresh freesia, and melon mambo in this paper. But I'm going to tell you right now that there is so many colors in this paper. They couldn't have listed them all. They'd have to list the whole color palette just about. So, and I'll show you in a minute what I mean. So, what we're making today is I've just stamped some leaves up the side of my envelope. And then we are making this card here. It's a Z-fold card. If you can see all the dimension on those petals and the flowers. It opens like this. It's a really easy, stands up nice. It says you make a difference. And there you can see all the dimension on this thing. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to bring in is a scratch paper because we are going to be using the masks today. Now, there's 2 masks, or two sets. There's, reason I say 2, they're numbered 1, 2, and 3. These are for the flowers, and there's 2 different flowers, and we're using the hydrangea. We've used the wild rose before, and then we have the leaves for the wild rose and for the hydrangea. Those are masks 4 and 5. So, but before we can do all that, we need to stamp some stuff. So I got 2 pieces of white cardstock. This one's a little bigger than a standard sheet. This is a standard layer size. So, you know, just a normal, something big enough you've got a little bit of room to play with here. I am going to try to stamp them about the same direction, just for ease of blending, because I'm going to blend both of these at the exact same time. I'm using Memento, and since the stamp is so much bigger, I'm taking the Memento to the stamp. Just give them a little squishy around here, make sure I've got all this covered really well. And I'm going to go straight up and down on the paper here and give it a good push. So we have that one, and we need to do that one more time. Stamping on the card there's not too much. We'll be getting the black back out later, but we do need this first before we can do some blending. And we'll do this one straight up and down on here. There we go. And we'll set the black aside for a while. So you need to decide what's going to be your top and what's going to be your bottom. And they're pretty much the same. So I'm just going to use this is going to be my main piece that I'm going to put down, the whole thing. This is going to be for the pieces that go on top of this one. So I'm not going to be doing these leaves, only these leaves. So the colors I'm using for this, I am using Blueberry Bushel, which is a color in this set. And we're using Garden Green. that one over here. But we're using two blues that aren't in here. We're using Azure Afternoon and Balmy Blue because I can. I would suggest look at your hydrangeas in your yard if you have any, or whatever hydrangeas you find pictures of and stuff and you like. You can do blues, pinks, purples. Even some have green ones. Go to town, make your hydrangeas whatever color. And I'll tell you, I've tried some other colors and they all look good without DSP. So have some fun. Crafting should be fun. So I'm going to push these off to the side so they're out of my way because I'm going to start with the Balmy Blue. I'm going to start with the notch where it says number 1. I'm just going to set this off to the side for a way. So what I need to do is I need to line this up on here. Once you get the line up going, you're pretty good. But it's that first one to see which direction you're laying it. Nope, not that way. Just takes a minute. It's that way, right there. So I know that my notch needs to be pointed this way. Now you could tape this down and you could draw your notch. I've done this before. You know, mark where your paper is if you want to. Just take a pen and say, this is where my notch is supposed to be on this piece of paper. It sometimes helps you remember. But we're going to start with Balmy Blue. And I'm not taping because I'm going to be going back and forth between these two pieces of paper. So get some Balmy Blue on your blending brush. Now, I have a lot of blue. I normally don't have this many blue brushes. When I'm done with these, I will take them out to the kitchen sink and I will wash them out. You just take them, run them 100 watt and just rub them a little bit and get all the ink out of them and just let them air dry, and you can use any color you want with them. But I do try to have, I have enough, I do have enough for like all blues and greens and yellows, but if I don't, I just wash them out. It takes about 24 hours for them to dry. Depends on how warm your house is. So what you want to do is you want to tap off on here because you don't want any big blobs. I'm going to make sure I've got enough. I think I need to re-ink my blue. But I like to do it on the plastic here and tap off because I can come back and use that. And I'm not pressing hard. I'm just swirling this around. You'll be surprised how much ink's in there. And I need a little bit more. I'm going to just grab that off the plastic and not go back into the ink pad. So that's the blue. So move this one to the side. We'll grab this one. Now I know it's facing this direction because I'm stamped just off just slightly from the last one. So I'm just making my life easier. I'm just doing this. It's going to be die cut, so it doesn't matter. Balmy and dot hit it. Tap off here. Now, this is where you try to get, not pressing too hard. Picking up just a little bit extra here. Trying to make sure I've got them pretty close to the same tone, which I do. So we're done with the Balmy Blue. Now, these can be taken straight to the sink and washed. If you're like me, you don't have a sink where you're crafting, it's a little hard. To get a pan or something, just set them in something so that you don't get ink anywhere. What I do is I have 2 Stampin' scrubs. This is my one that's clean at the moment. And I'm just going to set them just inside my Stampin' scrub over here off to the side. I'm going to pile all 5 in there. When I'm done, I will go out to the sink and wash them. Same time as I wash the brushes. Okay, so there's the Balmy Blue. Next, we're going to use Azure Afternoon. So we're going to put my glasses back on. I think that'd be a good idea. I do. We're going to use number 2. I know you can't see the numbers. Trust me, there's a number there. And I did mark where my thing was. So you can line it up. Move this over slightly. You can see where it goes just by moving around just slightly. And we're not going to go too hard with the Azure Afternoon either. They don't all have to be exactly the same. So now we've added the Azure Afternoon to that. And we'll add the Azure Afternoon to this one. Get back over there. You can tell from these big petals exactly where it goes. Just takes a second. I got a little blob too close there, but that's okay because I'm not using this whole thing anyhow, so it's going to be fine. It'll look a little dark right there, but I'm not using that part, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, I'll set this one out of my way, set this in my tray, and close up the Azure Afternoon. Now we're going to put on Blueberry Bushel with number 3. Yeah, you control the depth of color by how hard you press and how much ink you apply. Now I'm not going to go too hard on this, but I want enough that it gets into all the little grooves nicely. Like that. Okay, I'll set that one off to that side and do this one. There we go. Now this is going to be my top one, so I want to make sure I got it good and covered. When I selectively pick out my petals. Oh, that looks really good. So we'll put that over here and this over here. A little bit more blending. Now this one we're done with. It's ready for die cutting. We need to do the green. Now we're only using one color green. So we're going to really watch how much pressure we apply to this. I'm not worrying about making a mark for this one. It's close to where the other one was, but I'm really not worried about this part. Excuse me. The leaves are extremely easy to line up. But I am going to go even softer when I add the garden green to this. Make sure I don't have too much on there. I'm just going to gently go in here. That looks pretty good. Now, I'm not worried about that right there. It's not going to hurt a thing. Because, like I said, we're die cutting this. And then number 5. You could stop right there if you wanted and not use number 5. But I like a little bit of accent. Get that lined back up here. There we go. And I'm pressing just a little bit harder. Not much, just a tiny bit. And I'm sort of going in a different little angles here to make sure these are some small cracks there to give me the definition inside that. And that is the blending. And we'll put this ink away for the moment. Now we have a little more stamping to do, and I think we'll do that before we do the die cutting. So here's all 5 of my pieces. I can just close this up and take it to the kitchen and wash it. And all done. Okay. We do have some more stamping, but we couldn't do the stamping until these were done. So we're bringing the black back. And in the stamp set, you have lots of little centers you can use. This one, this one, this one. And you know what? I grabbed the wrong one, I think. I did. I grabbed the wrong one. I wanted that one. I think I grabbed the wrong one. I did. I want this one. But you can pick out whatever center you want. But I did grab the wrong one. I think. We'll do it off to the side of the paper. We'll find out. Nope, I had the right one. That one's way too big. All right, we'll just set him over here and I will clean him off in a minute. I did have the right one the first time. It depends on what you're trying to do, the look you're going for. You could have used that one. I just didn't want that much black. That's what I wanted. And what I want to do is just come in here and tap a little black in some of these, not on all of them, just in the bigger ones. You could do the smaller ones too. And some of these we are covering up, but not all. And it just adds another depth to this. Let's do this one here. It just adds a little more depth to that card. And you could just die cut that and stop right there. But I'm going to add another layer to my card. So we're going to do this one too. There's no, exact place you have to put this. I just wanted the extra depth from the black in there. You could use a different color if you wanted. I think that will work just fine. I believe we are done with the black. Okay, we got 2 more things to stamp. We need to stamp our envelope and we need to stamp our verse. This is just need a little piece. I don't need a big piece. This is a 1/2 inch high by, I don't know, 5 inches long. It's a scrap. It's a cutoff piece from when I was cutting out some card bases and layers. So what I'm going to do first, and I'm going to do the envelope. There is this lovely leaf in there. This leaf, there's actually 3 dies in the set to cut that leaf out if you want to cut lots of leaves and put around. We're going to use a die cut instead, and I'll show you that in a minute. I decided to use this leaf just to go around and make sort of like a little cascade up the side of the envelope. So that's that stamping. And we have one more thing to stamp. And we are going to be stamping that at Azure Afternoon. On this little piece of paper. You make a difference. That looks pretty good. And we'll trim him up in a few minutes. Okay, so let's do some die cutting now and some embossing. Lots of times I know I do put a lot, do a lot of stuff ahead of time. I did do a little bit ahead of time, but I did do the embossing ahead of time. You are going to need a piece of Berry Burst. Or not, sorry, Berry Burst. Melon Mambo. Not Berry Burst. Melon Mambo. In looking at this paper and printing it with Melon Mambo and Berry Burst are not colors in this listed in this paper. Our Melon Mambo is. Berry Burst isn't. I tried to use Berry Burst. Berry Burst didn't go. Melon Mambo, definitely. But this is a piece that is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8, and I've embossed this with the So Swirly embossing folder. So I did do that part. Actually, I did both of them. I ran them through one time. So we're also going to need a scrap of garden green so we can cut out one leaf. And then we're going to need to die cut these two pieces. So let me move a couple things here. Okay, so this is the one we are definitely using as our base of our card before we put stuff on it. And it lines up very nicely. I'm just putting my plates are bowed. There's nothing wrong with it other than they're bowed, and I did get some new plates, but they bow so quickly that I'm like, I'm just going to use tape. Nothing wrong with them. So we're die cutting this one. I pushed that down real good. Oop. Just got dark in here real fast, didn't it? Hang on. One of my lights just flicked off for some reason. It's the ghost in the house again. And there's a piece of paper here. I'll go get that out later. And we have a beautiful flower. Oh. Okay, so we do need to die cut a leaf. We just need one leaf. And the other die we need from this is this. You get this, you're going to look at this for quite a while and go, what is that go to? Because it doesn't go to any of the stamps if you look at it. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But first, I'm going to run this through by itself. Oh, he's being difficult. He doesn't want to. Usually I just drop him and they fall out. He didn't want to. Just made a beautiful leaf to go with it. There's two actually standalone. One is shaped for a hydrangea and one is shaped for a wild rose. Boy, I don't know what's going on here. My lights are having issues. They just keep on going off. Sorry about that. Okay. One more thing to show you. So, you've got this weird die and can't figure out what it goes to. If you look at this die, and you play around with a little bit, and move it around, you'll see that it cuts out. I'll try to zoom in here so you can see. Right here, it cuts out this cluster of 3 of the flower petals right there. I'm taping it this way because those 3 wasn't enough for me for mine. So I'm going to show you what I do for the next batch. But you can just do those 3, or you can do what I did. Fussy cut a couple out. Oh dear, this is not good, is it? We're going to leave it on the other shade of color and see if that helps. Don't know why. My light's going bad all of a sudden. This is my 3rd set of lights. I've been keep on buying new lights because they keep on dying on me. Anybody has a good idea for filming what kind of lights don't die on you within 6 to 8 months? Let me know, please. So anyhow, that is the crazy die that does that. But I decided that was not enough flowers for me. So I picked out a couple flowers and I decided I wanted this one and this one also. And it takes a second, I know. Or you could cut out a cluster of flowers. You know, it's whatever you want. Tell you what, we'll do this one different. We'll do a little cluster of flowers. I'll do these two next to each other. And if I don't like him, I'll come back and put the other one on later. And I'm cutting almost right on the black line. Just because it's easier. And all this really does is add depth to the card. And then I'm going to come in here and get this little notch out here. So I've cut my two of them out there. But I'm not going to get rid of this yet because I could do this one here or this one if I want more. So, or you just do one and you do multiple cards, do this one and then pull out a couple others and put less on there. There's all kinds of options. So we'll use those in a few minutes. So let's build the card. Another piece of scrap. Let's go through the sizes here. This is a piece of Azure Afternoon that is 8.5 by 5.5. And this one is scored at 2 on the 8.5 inch side, 2 1/8 and 5, or 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. All the dimensions are below. So give that a good varnish. I scored it, but I did not varnish it yet. Okay, you're going to need a piece of, I'm going to go through the Azure Afternoon, that's 3.5 by 4 3/4. And this is going to mount on there. That's that piece of embossed paper. Melon Mambo, you need a piece that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. You need a piece that is 2 by 5 3/8. You need a piece of white, basic white, that is 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Like I said, all the dimensions are listed below. And you need 2 pieces of Lovely Garden DSP that are 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. That's the pattern I chose. So let's do some matting and get this going. So let's do this piece here first. Blue. This is the one I keep on thinking it's going to die for the last 2 weeks. And it just doesn't die. I don't use it the rest of the time. I only use it when I was filming because it's sitting on my filming desk where I film. So it doesn't get used as much as the others do, but I still keep it's going to die. Okay. This one here, this is the 2 inch wide, is going to get one of these bouquets, a little flower bouquet on paper. And then I'm sort of seeing where I want these. Yep, that works for me. Or do I want them this way? Nope, I like it this way. Whatever piece of paper you can decide. So one of them is going to go here, and the other one's going to go on this one. Or you could use another color combination. And then this white piece is going on here, and you are leaving that large gap there. Because you don't want your writing to show through the front. Like that. And this one's going to go like this. And if you can figure out which way is up or down on this paper, good luck. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put this one in here. We have tiny borders. So this is to write on. If you need more room to write, I've left this panel blank. You could add another Melon Mambo here and put another white panel here. You could put another white panel on the back. You could do anything you want on that. I decided to just leave it blank. And then this is going on here. Now, I will tell you, this is a hand carry or put extra postage card. Right there, you already write out extra postage, and I'm using dimensionals on 2 layers, so just keep that in mind. All right, now it's time to put this on. So what I want to do is I want to get this squared up and centered as best I can in the middle of this. So I'm using my grid. Got a rough idea where I want it. I'm going to flip it over. We're already putting adhesive here. Now you want to use a strong adhesive because it's going to have some weight on it. So use tear and tape or Seal Plus or glue. And since I'm a glue girl, I recommend glue. And then try to get that as straight as possible. I know you guys are looking at me like, she's looking at her grid again very cautiously. I'll tell you, having a grid underneath where you're working really does make your projects look nicer because they are a lot straighter. And I tend to not always be the straightest person when it comes to lining up sentiments. So that's the base of the card. Okay. I'm going to get some seal over here. I grab this. I've already made out of white baker's twine a little double knotted bow. And I know I have getting our pieces over here now. Okay, this lovely leaf. Take off the 2 and the single. Pull this over here, and I'm going to grab them. Oop, hang on. We have a dimensional writing in the seal. Now we'll just see if it gets up there. So what I want to do is I want to put a little bit of adhesive right here and a little bit right here. And now I'll pull out the hitchhiker. Put a little more seal in there. Doesn't require a lot. And you can tear off the extra little piece of green. I want him. Just tuck him right about like that. And I'm just going to take this one. This one I'm going to snip because I don't want to break that where it's hooked together. And put that one right about like that. Just adds a little more greenery to it. Then we're going to get the dimensionals. And make sure that you use a dimensional over each of those leaves to make sure they don't go anywhere on you. And I think that should be good. And then we'll peel these up. Okay. towards the top. Make sure you're watching your framework, that you don't go outside of the frame of your card. But I do want it to go up a little bit. That looks pretty good. Then we have our sentiment. Well, we had our sentiment. There it is. And I'm just going to, you could go straight, but I'm going to go this at an angle here. Just like that. And since we're straddling across here, I'm going to put dimensionals on either side and just put a little bit of seal in the middle. Just a tiny bit of seal there. And dimensionals on either end. And I want to come up right about like that. And then I'm going to grab our little guys here. Now this one you can use a couple full-sized, depending on the size of these, you may have to cut a little piece or grab a mini. Let's just take this one off and cut him in half instead. He's a little too big. One there. One there. Oh, he's still a little too big. Just whittle him down. Or use minis. So what you're going to do is, before you pull the backs off, if you look at, what was I doing? Oh, if you look at how the design is where you've got the blue, you can see exactly, if you look here, look at the design on the flowers. You can see where they go by using that. So, but find where your flowers go before you take off the back. It's just easier. And then we're going to line that one up about like that. And if it's off a little bit, it's okay. And then this one, we determined he was right about there. And we're going to tuck that one, since he was cut off from right here. He will actually tuck in just like that. So we've got a little different look on there, but it's fine. Okay, got a couple more things to do. First, I wanted some really nice bling. But I wasn't finding in my stash what I wanted. I wanted blue. Not any blue. I wanted Azure Afternoon Blue. We don't have any. So I've taken our basic rhinestones. Basic rhinestones and iridescent pearls are great because you can color them. Now you can color them with your blends, but you can color these with your regular markers too. The only problem with the regular markers, you do need to let them sit. If you're going to be using them, I let them color them and let them sit for at least 15-20 minutes. I even sometimes hit them with a heat gun and then let them sit for about 10 minutes to make sure they're dry. But you can color them with them. But alcohol does work better. And when you're coloring, I usually use the darkest color unless you're running something real pale of the color of your blend. And you make sure you're going on the side. Now, I wanted 2 small. What do I have in there? Make sure I did the right thing. Yeah. You have 2, a small, a medium, and a large. I left the large to do. So take the side of your brush or the side of your nib. Nib works too. And sometimes I have to go over these a couple times. But that's why I use the darker one. I tried the light. It was too light. Okay, that should be good. That's how hard it is to color them. And if you want to use your markers to do it, you can. Like I said, it just takes a long time to dry. It's like dyeing ink or ribbons. You can do it with blends faster. The others do work. You just have to wait for it to dry. So while we're waiting for that one to dry for just a second, if you put your hand on that plastic, you're going to come up blue, by the way. And we're going to grab a glue dot. And I'm just going to put a little glue dot and pinch that in there a little bit. And I'm going to put him right there. And I'm going to come, except my glue dot, see where the glue dot is? It didn't stay on my ribbon the way I wanted it. It's being difficult today. Sometimes you even have to show the glue dot who's boss. It's usually the paper, but today it's the glue dot. Little bow right there. Okay. But like I said, see where the blue is moving around? You see it on there? That part is still wet. The rhinestone itself is not. And I'm going to put this one about here. And I'm going to put these. I moved that up a lot further than I did the last time. So I think we're going to put one there. Putting them in different spots because I moved it up a little further than before. That's okay. Whoop, come back here. We'll just put him down here. So that's that part. But we're not done yet. I know, I just keep on dragging this out. We need a little more sparkle. So we're going to put, I'm just putting with Stella, and I'm being careful not to go too hard and and trying to stay on the flowers as much as possible because that, don't want any bleeding going on. It shouldn't bleed, but it does a little bit. I don't want it. So I'm just doing the tops of the flowers. So, hold that there so you can see you can see the wing of Stella, but you can look at it from the side here. I'll show from this side. Trying to get you a good look at that. Okay, there we go. You see all the depth on that card. So you start measuring that, you're way thicker for the postage. But the card, I think, is so beautiful. It's worth it. Now, this is the first one I did. So I have a clump here, this one, and then I have this flower. You did this flower and this one alone. And I did a little lighter on this one than I did this card. This one's a little darker. So, play around. Use different colors. But anyhow, give this a try and have some fun. And I will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining me. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Invite your friends. Tell them we'll have a good time. Goodbye.